Hello, this is a brief video on using Zotero, specifically focused on collecting information resources. When beginning your research, you'll probably first want to start Zotero. And here I am in the Zotero desktop program. The left panel includes the folders that I've created. In the center are each of the different information sources that I've collected, and then the right panel includes detailed information about each information resource. When you're first starting a research project, I would suggest creating a folder for that project. To do that, go to the left-hand corner where you should see My Library, and then there's a new collection icon. I'll click once on that. And in this video, my sample search deals with salmon, so I'll just call my folder or collection salmon. So I've now created a folder. It's empty, but it's highlighted, and I'm going to minimize this so Zotero is running in the background while I do my research. I'll bring up my browser. Now, in this search, I wanted to demonstrate adding three types of information sources: a journal article, a book, and a web page. So here I am in one of our EBSCO databases, Academic Search Premier. I've typed in my search and related to salmon. Let's say I'm interested in the second article. So I'll click once on the title. And after looking at the abstract, say yes, this sounds interesting. I'll click once on the PDF full text so I can take a closer look at the article. And then let's say after reading this article, I say yes, this is something that's useful, and I want to add it to Zotero. So I'll go to the top right hand corner of my browser, and I'll click once on the Zotero connector, and this will let me know what's being added to Zotero. So I'll click once on that. So it's adding it to my salmon folder, the citation, as well as the full text of the PDF full text of the article. So what that looks like in Zotero. This is my salmon folder. Here's the item. There's an arrow next to the title. If I click that, you can see that it's added the PDF full text. And then on the right hand side is the detailed information about that particular article. So that's a demonstration of adding an article from a database, from one of our databases. Here is an example of adding a book. So I'm now in the library's OneSearch catalog. I've done my search, limited my search to books. This first item looks like a print book, so I'll click once on the title. This is the record for that book, and if I want to add that citation, again, I can go up to my connector, click once on it, and it's adding that information to my salmon folder. So here it is. Here's Zotero. Here's that title of that particular item. It's a print book, so I don't have the full text, but I do have on the right hand side the information for that particular item: title, author, date, publisher, and so on. The third example is adding web pages. Web pages can be a little bit more problematic. So if there's a chance of having an error in the citation or not complete citations, web pages are probably more likely to have problems with adding those to Zotero. So I've done my search using Google, got a list of web pages, and click on this first one. This happens to be an article from, it looks like a journal called Mountain Journal. After reading this, I say yes, I'd like to add this to Zotero. So again, I go to my connector, click on it, and again it's adding it to my salmon folder. Let's take a look what that looks like in Zotero. So here's that web page here, and then you can see it recognized as a web page. It added the title, but then some of this other information might be listed and it's not being picked up by Zotero, but Zotero does a good job usually of giving me, recording the link, the web address for that web page, and also the time that the information was accessed. So at this stage of my research, I'm not too concerned about correcting this or adding more information. I have a record of it, and then once I get down to writing my paper and I decided yes, that this web page might be useful, that's where I could revisit this web page using this link that's provided in Zotero to see about if I can create a more fuller citation. So that's a quick, brief introduction to adding information sources to Zotero. Now, if you do have questions, like always, feel free to contact us here in the library, and we'll be happy to try and help.